Okay, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I can't believe I'm saying this. I kinda want Myles Borne to win the NXT Championship at Battleground. Okay, hear me out. I love Oba Femi. Oba Femi is the GOAT. But man, for some reason, Myles Borne's underdog story is really intriguing. Like, he was the least intriguing member of the NQCC to now where he's challenging for the World Championship, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but man, he's really awesome. Like, he came out to start the episode of NXT tonight talking about his disability and how he's not letting it define him. Instead, he's breaking boundaries and he's gonna become the first deaf NXT champion. And I think that would be really cool. I don't think it would really hurt Oba Femi much. I mean, this is developmental at the end of the day. Nothing that really matters here is really gonna derail your career unless it's genuinely horrific. And this would really do much more for Myles Borne than it would take away for Oba Femi. Now, it's not gonna happen. Like, Myles Borne isn't defeating Oba Femi, but a part of me, I kind of want to see it happen. Now, talking about that, Myles Borne did come out to open the show like I mentioned before, but he was interrupted by Ethan Page, who's telling him that you're just gonna fail, and that Ethan Page is much more likely to win that championship than Myles Borne is. Ava comes out and says, okay, well, we're gonna have that match tonight. Myles Borne versus Ethan Page, and Myles Borne's #1 contendership will be on the line, Myles Borne said to himself. But before we can get to that match later in the night, first we need to go through Oba Femi versus Charlie Dempsey, also of the NQCC. Oba Femi picks up a victory, but a really nice match for Charlie Dempsey. I'm surprised, like, I always thought Charlie Dempsey was gonna be slotted into the main event, especially with the men's scene getting slightly tinier and tinier by the week. But this was a fairly good match. I'm really happy for him. He finally got to have this big main event level match. Of course, he's not going to defeat Oba Femi. Oba Femi wins. But yeah, just an overall good match, great opening match for the show. Then we go backstage a bit. Backstage, Carmen Petrovic and Thea are walking around, and Carmen thanks Thea for having her back when they come across Tatum Paxley, who's having a complete breakdown because both of her friends from Chemical X are now gone, and she says friends don't mean anything anymore, and that Thea and Carmen will eventually turn on each other. This sets up a match later tonight between Thea and Tatum Paxley. Some really interesting stuff happened there, can't wait to get there. And then afterwards, Ethan Page is training backstage when Ricky Starks comes up to him, and he says that he's heartless and guesses beating him really did do a number on Ethan Page. Ethan Page says that he just loves raiding on people's parades, and that after he wins the #1 contendership match, he will also defeat Ricky Saints for the North American Championship. So Ethan Page plans to be a double champion? Man, I know, right? In character wise it makes sense, but it's kind of funny to think that he'd ever be able to do that. But maybe that could be an interesting story. Don't think that would happen, but it could be like an interesting plot line eventually if they ever decided to do something like that. The next match is between Tony D'Angelo and Wesley, which is a surprisingly really long match, but it was really good. The High Rise, I think is their name now, the tag team of Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe. They try and interfere during the match, but to no avail. Tony D'Angelo manages to survive them until Stax appears on the Titantron, and he's at Adriana Rizzo's safe house. This really distracts Tony D'Angelo, and Wesley picks up a victory. I'm surprised. I thought Tony D'Angelo was going to get the victory, but the way they played it out makes sense. This is a major victory for Wesley. Tony D'Angelo doesn't lose anything here. This progresses the story between him and Stax. I'm very invested in this. We catch up with more of this later, but Wesley gets a big victory. Very happy for him. We get another package of OTM setting to return next week, but on that note, later tonight, the new members from Chase U, Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors, are in Ava's office, and they said now that Chase U's back, they really want a match. And Ava grants it to him, and then Andre Chase comes up and he asks, like, what do you guys do? And they say they get a match. Andre Chase is very proud of him until it's revealed that it's OTM, and he's pissed about that. So then we have a big segment between Stephanie Vaquer and Jordynne Grace both getting in the ring together. Stephanie Vaquer talks about how she's been watching Jordynne Grace's rise through TNA, and she's excited for their match at Battleground. I'm a bit curious what's gonna happen here. I'll get to the rest of the segment later, because I thought Stephanie Vaquer was primed to go to the main roster already. She looked like a main roster star, she got some great reactions, it just felt like a natural fit. And as much as I love having people on NXT, at the end of the day it is developmental for the main roster. And when someone is ready, I do think they should go to the main roster. Especially on a place like SmackDown, which has a lot of great stars like Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair. You know, you still kind of need a fresh injection because that women's division doesn't feel as strong as the Raw one. So sending Stephanie Vaquer there could do a lot for them, and I think she's just bigger than NXT at this point in the nicest way possible. And I think Jordynne Grace, she still needs a bit of work. Like, she's botched a few moves. She doesn't feel like a big enough star yet. It felt like in TNA she was very massive, very over. But when she came to NXT, she kind of became a big fish in a bigger pond than a big fish in a small pond in TNA. So I think she should win the NXT Women's Championship and stay here for a little while, develop herself, get herself more over, and then go to the main roster. I have no doubt that she would get over there. I just feel like she's not quite ready yet, and having a run with the NXT Women's Championship would free Stephanie Vaquer up to go up, and it would give her the prime spotlight to work and do what she did in TNA. But the rest of the segment goes on with Fatal Influence coming out. They're clearly gonna break up soon, like there's even teasers in this segment, but it sets up for our main event, which will be Jordynne Grace and Stephanie Vaquer having to team up against JC Jane and Fallon Henley. We also go backstage again, where Undertaker and Bubba Ray Dudley are congratulating the finalists of WWE LFG, which is Tyra May Steele and Xena Sterling. I really like Xena Sterling. I've been watching the show a lot recently, catching up on it. Xena Sterling has so much potential. Tyra May Steele is cool too. If you guys don't watch the show, you probably have no idea who these women are. But regardless of that, Nikita Lyons and Izzy Dame approached them and kind of mocked them. And okay, I wouldn't mind seeing Nikita Lyons teaming up with Izzy Dame. I think that could be an interesting thing. Maybe she joins the culling too. I would not be against that. Sean Legacy from Evolve challenges Jevon Evans to a match, and then later on we catch up with Jevon Evans, who is sitting backstage. Ashante the Adonis is coming up to him and says he's too big of a star to deal with these Evolve boys. Jevon Evans says nah, he came from the indies, he knows some of the indies have dogs in him, and he wants to face Sean Legacy. So that's probably a match we're gonna get soon, and before that we're probably gonna get some sort of match between Jevon Evans and Ashante the Adonis. Some nice little side stuff for Jevon Evans, who is a bigger star than Ricochet. If you know, you know. Tatum Paxley versus Thea happens, and this is a pretty interesting match. What I like here is that Tatum Paxley is going completely insane. She loses by DQ for gouging Thea's eyes. I'm interested in seeing where this is going. Thea has been being featured a lot recently, which I'm very happy about. I really like her, but finally getting some direction for Tatum Paxley is good. But in the same sense, we've seen stuff like this happen before with her. I just hope this time they finally pull through with it and do something. Because time and time again, we've gotten interesting stories. Back when she turned on Lyra Valkyria, when she had that whole feud with Wendy Chu. Like, it just never leads to anything major, and it feels like she falls into this repeated cycle of going on her own, forming a tag team, the tag team breaks up, she goes on her own. Hopefully this time it doesn't fall in that trap. And after that too, we have Myles Borne defeating Ethan Page, rolling him up. I'm very happy about this. I wish he got a clean victory, but it makes sense that he doesn't. He's still Myles Borne. He's still relatively an undercard guy, while Ethan Page is top level. You know what I mean? It makes sense that Myles Borne doesn't defeat him clean. Tony D'Angelo arrives at the safe house, but he instantly gets jumped by Stax. Stax beats him up with a crowbar, if I'm not mistaken, and then Stax says that he's gonna end the D'Angelo family once and for all. Wow, I made a lot of mistakes there. But yeah, this feud has been insanely awesome. I really like it. I wonder what's happening with Adriano Rizzo and Luca Crucifino. It would make sense that they get involved in this somehow, but I hope if that happens, that's not the end of the rivalry. I would like to see Stax and Tony D'Angelo have a clean match, but I would also like to have a match where everyone interferes, like just an overbooked mess. I would like both. Hopefully I can get that. Ava sits down with Joe Henry and Trick Williams talking about their upcoming TNA World Championship match. I've really liked some stuff. I know my TNA review speaked very slowly on their segment, but I've kind of liked how on last week's TNA and on last week's NXT episode, these two guys just went at each other and just straight up brawling. It does kind of make it better in hindsight, but I love how personal this has felt. So hopefully, I'm excited to see what this match goes. I have no idea how it's going to end, because I could really see it going either way, but I also don't see it going either way either. I don't know what's going to happen. That's what makes this match so exciting for me. Really have to see what happens there. And then in the main event, Stephanie Vaquer and Jordynne Grace obviously defeat Fatal Influence. I'm really just waiting for Fatal Influence to break up at this point. I'm not interested in their stuff anymore. I want everybody to go on their own ways. JC Jane and Fallon Henley, just send them to the main roster already. Let them find their own way. They don't belong on NXT anymore. Give, what's her name, Jasmine Nix her own singles run. But besides that, Jordynne Grace, Stephanie Vaquer managed to overcome. Hopefully, Jordynne Grace wins the NXT Women's Championship and goes on a nice run, and Stephanie Vaquer can get called up. A lot of this is just not me being mean, just saying they shouldn't be on NXT anymore. Overall, if I had to give tonight's show a rating, I would give it a solid 8, 9 out of 10. Either works. It was a really good show, really solid episode. I'm wondering how the go home episode is going to work next week. I hope a few big stuff happens. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. Tonight's NXT was really good. So let me know what you think. Anything you liked specifically? I'm really liking how they're slowly starting to introduce these Evolve guys and the LFG guys into the show. It feels really fresh. Feels like there's a whole connected universe. and I'm really just liking the fresh blood. Like Zena Sterling and Sean Lexi are clearly two people that they are very invested in bringing into NXT. And I like that fresh blood that we're getting people actually being built up for the next phase of NXT, I guess you could call it. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, subscribe. We're almost close to 500 subscribers. That would mean so much to me. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.